Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. And until the, oh, here it is. Wow, this light is strong. My name is Assi Rotbart. I am the CEO and co-founder of Panaxia, and I'm really happy to be here today. We started our baby step in the French market 4 years ago. We are a great believer in the French market. We love France, and we love cannabis in France, and we are here to stay. So I have only one slide about Panaxia to give you a little bit context, and then we will dive into our science and clinical evidence. And I believe that I have at least some answer to some of the questions that were raised in the panel earlier today. So Panaxia is a pharmaceutical company that is doing also medical cannabis. Our parent company is a pharmaceutical company from Israel, being around for over 60 years, selling more than 300 SKUs pharmaceutical in 40 countries worldwide. Panaxia is the baby sister of this group, doing medical cannabis only for 14 years. We started in 2010. We are producing and selling cannabis in 3 continents, in the US, in Israel, and in Europe. In Europe, we are really proud to be the company with the largest footprint in Europe. We are producing in Malta and in Poland, and we are distributing our products in France, Germany, Poland, Czech Republic, Switzerland, Malta, and Cyprus. So we are gaining a lot of experience and have the opportunity to give our remedies to many patients all over the continent. So, cannabis. Already in 2010, we knew, and now all of us know, that cannabis is helpful. It's extremely helpful for many conditions. Pain was only the beginning, but now it's clear that cannabis is helpful for PTSD, for Parkinson's disease, for Alzheimer, for cancer pain, and for many other indications. However, with this beauty comes a big problem, because we know that cannabis is not always helpful for this condition. Exactly the opposite. We know that sometimes cannabis is really helpful for anxiety, but sometimes it will cause an anxiety. We know that sometimes cannabis will help you to sleep, but many other times it will prevent you from sleeping. So we know it is working, but we don't know when, and we don't know how. The beginning of the answer came already 20 years ago from Professor Rafi Meshulam that identified or defined the term entourage effect. And we know that in the cannabis, we have more than 100 cannabinoids, we have terpenes, we have flavonoids and some other molecule. And we also know that the same amount of THC and CBD together with a combination of minor molecule, this is what causing the desired effect or the undesired effect, and this is what was called the entourage effect. But as a pharmaceutical orientation, for us the entourage effect is just we don't know yet. Like it's a cloud term that explains for the academy why cannabis sometimes help and sometimes not, but not the mechanism. And it doesn't really help us to give the right remedy to the right patient. So then, 14 years ago, we took on ourselves the mission to produce a real pharmaceutical from the cannabis flower. And once I mean pure pharmaceutical, it means, first of all, to bring it in acceptable delivery methods like tablets or inhaler or drops, and not as a flower. But secondly, and more important, to make it condition-oriented. We need to have a product or a drug for anxiety. We need to have a product for pain. And we need to know that every time that the patient will take it, it will help for the anxiety. So this was the mission that we took on ourselves. Now, how we started as a narrow-minded pharmaceutical with pharmaceutical development. We invested 6 years in developing the process, the extraction process, analytical methods, formulation, and we created 4 different formulations: oil for oral absorption, sublingual for sublingual absorption, suppositories, and extract for inhalation. Now, first step after developing this product was the phase 1 clinical trial that we conducted in Israel many years ago, and since then we are conducting it for every new product that we are developing. In this clinical trial, we are testing the safety of the product and the pharmacokinetics to have evidence for the behavior bioavailability of the product in the blood. And here you see there are no surprises. The oil is really good for chronic condition like Parkinson's disease or chronic pain. And on the other side, we have the extract for inhalation, which is really good for acoustic pain, for acute condition, less than 1 minute onset. So based on this safety and pharmacokinetic data, we developed our first 3 products. As you can see, we have the oils for oral use, we have the tablets for sublingual absorption, and we have the extracts for vaporization. From commercial reason, we decided not to continue with the suppositories. Now, these products are being in the market since 2017. They are being served every month for tens of thousands of patients. About a year ago, we crossed 1 million vials in total, and we are looking forward. So these products are excellent. They are in the market. They are helping thousands of patients every month, but they are not good enough. Although they are our products, they are not good enough because they are not indication tailored. So we decided to move forward and to continue development to make them indication tailored. How we do it? How we do it? Again, with clinical trials. So then we launched a clinical study, post-marketing in Israel for more than 2,000 patients. 2,300 patients participated in this clinical study for a little bit more than 1 year. Now, every month, these patients got a product. They got flowers, they got oils, they got tablets. And every month, they were interviewed about the product. They were interviewed about the efficacy of the product and also about the side effects. Now, because many of them got flowers with huge variability, it gave us an excellent result. And what I mean an excellent result, I mean a chaos. So there was no pattern in the results. You could see that the same product 1 month was very helpful, another ones was not helping at all, sometimes no effect, sometimes side effect, and it looked really, really blurry on the chart. But this is the result that we were expecting. Then, in parallel, we analyzed each and every dose that we gave to these patients. Now, we didn't analyze them just for few molecules that we looked for. We analyzed them for all the molecules existing there. And once I'm meaning all the molecules, I'm meaning that we logged all the spectrometry of all compounds in these products. Most of them didn't have a name. Some of them even today doesn't have a name. So we logged all molecule in each product for each patient for 13 months, 2,300 patients. Then we took all this data and we put it in the computer. We have a unit of data scientists that were working on this data, on this huge, huge data and combination correlations, and we started looking for correlation between a specific molecule to a specific indication or a specific side effect. And I will share with you only few of the results that we already realized in this clinical study. The first one came easy and fast, sleeping disorder. This was a very simple correlation between a flavonoid, canflavin A. There is zero literature about this molecule. Nobody knew before any efficacy for this molecule for any indication. However, if you look at the combination of THC, CBD, and canflavin A, you see a super strong correlation between this combination and sleeping disorder. So actually, this is a simple correlation, only one molecule to add to THC and CBD, and we have a product for sleeping disorder. The second one was also kind of simple because, again, one molecule on top of THC and CBD, and this is the CBC. And here again, a simple correlation. As long as we are adding more CBC to the compound, this is helping for anxiety. And we were speaking before about one cultivation in Canada with one strain that is helping anxiety. And I'm betting that once you will test this compound, you will see a high amount of CBC, because this is the only molecule that correlated with anxiety. And we tested all of them. Then we moved to pain. Pain was a little bit more complex, because we tested all molecules to look for correlation with pain. However, we didn't find any single molecule with a nice correlation with pain. However, once we combined two molecules on top of THC and CBD, then we got to the 0.9 almost that we looked for. And now we have a formula for pain. Now, is it the best formula for pain? Definitely not. I'm sure that with the time, we can identify more and more molecules that we can add to increase even more the correlation. But for now, for us, 0.9 is good enough to claim that we have evidence, clinical evidence, that this combination of four molecules are helpful for pain. So now we have already 3 products, 3 formulations, but it's not ready yet to be a drug because we don't have a dose. So the next part was to search the right dose of each molecule out of these 3 or 4 molecules in the drug to get the best efficacy, because we want to put the lowest dose possible of each molecule to create the desired efficacy. So this was the next phase or the next iteration of the study. And by the end of this phase, we have 3 products with fixed dose and with fixed combination of molecules. But it was not good enough for us to put this product in the market, because this study was post-marketing study. And we all know the disadvantages of post-marketing study, especially once we are talking about indication like anxiety or pain. In pain, we have more than 30% placebo effect, and it's not good enough to convince ourselves and later on you, the prescribers, to prescribe it. So then we moved to controlled clinical study. Now, I heard a lot today that regulation should not push companies to controlled clinical study. I don't believe it. I think that with this kind of indication as pain and as an anxiety, you must have controlled clinical study. You must have it double blind. You must test it versus placebo in order to have a proof that your product is actually working and it's working better than placebo. So we already conducted 2 clinical trials controlled, one in Israel, 150 patients for pain, and another one which is completed now, another one in Malta that is just on the early stage for 100 for cancer pain. Both of these are testing our new products versus placebo, and both of them are double-blind crossed. And these 3 products are already in the market, being sold to patients, and this is products that we are really proud of, because these products are not only repeatable and precise, but these products are dedicated for an indication, and we have the clinical evidence that they are helping for this indication. Now, as you can imagine, these are not the only indication that we found in the big clinical study, the post-marketing. We are working today on 14 different formulations that popped up in this clinical study. 3 of them already finished, other in early stages, and this is our mission for the next few years to complete all these 14 indications. Now, I want to add a few words about the use of flowers. And I heard a lot about the flowers today via the panels, and there are disputes about it. You saw that in our products there are no flowers. There were never flowers, and there will never be flowers. Now, the first reason, it's obvious, we don't think that patients need to smoke. We don't think that anybody needs to smoke, but this is like a personal. But as a pharmaceutical, we don't think that we should force a patient to smoke his medication. However, unfortunately, most of the cannabis users worldwide are using flowers. Most of them are smoking it, some of them are vaporizing it, but flowers are still the most prescribed cannabis product in the world, and there is a good reason for it. In most of the markets, cannabis exists only in two forms, in drops and as flowers. Now, drops are excellent for chronic condition, but they are really not good solution for acute condition. And this is why in countries where you have only these two formats, if you have an acute pain, cancer pain, acute condition, the doctor need to prescribe you flowers because it doesn't have anything better. But in countries where the extract for inhalation was registered, there is absolutely no reason to prescribe flowers. You can see the pharmacokinetic, you can see the efficacy. This product bring better results for acute condition than flowers, and most important, it is clean. This is clean cannabis extract, no additives, no PG, VG, MCT, or any other excipient. And in cannabis flowers, if you have 24% of THC, you have about 70-something percent of other stuff that you are taking in your lungs. In these products, you have only cannabinoids and terpenes that you are taking into your lungs. So for the prescribers, we are strongly support moving to extract for inhalation for acute condition and not prescribing flowers. Few words about France and our activity in France. We started our journey in France 4 years ago. We were one of the 4 companies that was selected by the INSM to start in this experimentation. Then 2 years later, we were selected as one of the 2 companies to stay in this experimentation. And as of today, we are the only company that providing products in the French market with THC, either pure THC or mixed with CBD. And we are proud to support the French patient. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are here to stay. And as soon as the market will open, we will be the first to submit dossiers and to get marketing authorization in this market. Now, few words about the regulatory framework in France. We believe that this is the best regulatory framework exists in the world. And why? Because it's structured and it's built in the right way. It's finished product, it's not API, there is no magistrate preparation, the patient is getting a drug. The dossier is a normal dossier with all the modules. They are asking for all the evidence, all the content that needed to be in a drug. Yes, it's slow, but this is the future. This is the right way to go. We are a strong supporter of the way that France is going. We are patient, and we believe that few years from now, all other European countries will align and will have almost the same regulatory framework. I know that it's not a popular opinion, but this is how we see it. So we're happy to be here. We will be happy to support France, and thank you for coming today.